Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
WRAL is following breaking news in Fayetteville this morning. What we're learning after 3 people were shot at a hookah lounge.
And new this morning, our level 1 risk for severe storms has expanded to include the entire viewing area. We'll likely have some wind damage. I'll show you what time the storms could start where you are.
And it could take months to get a new ID. Coming up, how work is happening today that could make your next trip to the DMV a little bit easier.
A lot of stories we're covering here on WRAL News and Fox 50, so we have to say, first of all, good morning, and thanks for joining us here. I'm Chris Lovingood.
And I'm Catherine Brown. Good to have you here. I want to get right over to Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a lot going on today. Elizabeth with the weather.
We do have this cold front that's about to cross the mountains, and when it does, out ahead of it, we'll likely have some scattered storms. We have that level 1 risk for severe weather across the entire viewing area, which was updated early this morning. Yesterday, it was just the northern half of the viewing area. Damaging winds are possible, along with some heavy rain. Even if you don't have severe winds, that rain may be very heavy as it comes through. We'll be fairly dry up until early to mid-afternoon. We'll pause it there at noon and then again at 3. And you can see some showers and storms moving into the western part of the viewing area. Pretty quickly, the heaviest rain moves into the eastern part of the viewing area by 5 and then moves on out by around 6 or 7. Cold front follows behind with a small chance of a shower or thunderstorm around maybe 10 or 11 o'clock. We take a live look at Roxborough right now. Lots of cloud cover. You can see the flags moving around. We have a strong southwesterly wind, which continues to bring this very warm, sticky air mass. 68 is our dew point. That's high. And 73 is very warm. Temperatures also hot this afternoon with highs in the low 90s. But I'll show you how much our humidity will drop behind today's front. Coming up, Ken.
8:01, Elizabeth, all new into the WRAL Traffic Center. Got a couple of crashes to tell you about that just happened in the last few minutes or so at or near downtown. This one happened on South Boylan Avenue near Western Boulevard, not far from the station, actually. We're seeing some brake tapping going on near that traffic accident. Just be mindful of that and the police activity you're going to see there. There's also some construction right there in Western Boulevard that's probably also causing some delay as well. This crash happened in the last half hour or so. This one on South Person Street near Morgan Street, again in the downtown area. If you work in the downtown area, we're not seeing any issues in terms of delay in any of those roadways. So just be mindful of that. You're not going to have to worry about that as you're getting ready to go to work this morning in the downtown area. This is a serious crash that we've been monitoring. We're trying to get some more information about it, actually. This is on 885 in the southbound lane near Davis Drive. Right now, our sensors are not picking up any type of delay in that area, so just keep that in mind. And if you can, move over one lane. It's part of the law, so it'll give law enforcement officers an opportunity to work that traffic safely. And elsewhere in the triangle, we see the usual backups along the Beltline, on the north side of the Beltline, as well as the south side.
We are following some breaking news out of Fayetteville this morning. Law enforcement are investigating a shooting on Ramsey Street there. Our Nick Perlin is in the WRAL breaking news tracker.
3 people are hurt after a shooting at this hookah lounge in Fayetteville early this morning. Now take a look at this video from the WRAL breaking news tracker, and you can see Fayetteville police taping off this hookah lounge. We're told the shooting happened at around 2:30 this morning. 3 people were shot and taken to the hospital. We're told they are expected to be okay. We're still trying to find out what exactly led to this shooting, and we're trying to find out if Fayetteville police know who fired their gun early this morning. Once we have more information, we'll be sure to update you. In Fayetteville, Nick Perlin, WRAL News.
Also new this morning, 2 men are wanted for questioning in connection to a homicide after a man was found shot to death at a local car wash. This happened on Deaver Circle in Hope Mills. Authorities say the man who was killed was 21-year-old Lamarvion McKinnon. The men wanted for questioning are 23-year-old Alan Tedder and 24-year-old Kemonte Johnson. The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office asked that you call if you know anything more about this. The funeral for the family of 3 killed in a car crash in Garner, that's happening today. Services for the Campbell family are happening this morning at a church in Ellenboro in the western part of the state. Tyler and Susan Campbell and their 8-year-old son Miles died in a car crash that happened on Memorial Day. Memorial services for the family will continue into the weekend, and this includes at least one planned in Garner at a building Summit Church uses on Vandora Springs Road. That is set for Saturday at 3 p.m. The driver, Jordan Porter, is facing second-degree murder charges. The photo you're seeing there on the left part of your screen is the first photo we're seeing of him. A family member provided this to WRAL. Porter hasn't been served yet, so we haven't had access to a mugshot, not yet. Warrants say that he was drinking alcohol and smoking marijuana before this crash.
Well, today we'll get an update on issues at the DMV causing major delays in people getting a physical ID. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is live at the DMV office on Avent Ferry Road in Raleigh. And Kelsey, the DMV commissioner is answering some questions from state lawmakers today about all those delays.
Catherine, he is, and if you've experienced any issues at one of these DMV locations, you're not the only one. 50,000 people are impacted by backups with state IDs every week, according to the DMV. Now, I read through the testimony that the DMV commissioner is expected to give in this next hour, so here's a look at some of the highlights of what he'll be talking about this morning. Long lines, wait times for IDs, and updating technology for customers and staff. Today's hearing comes a few months after lawmakers grilled the commissioner and his staff about these problems. Wait times for IDs was at the top of that list. The DMV says their normal turnaround time for giving out IDs is 15 days. Now it's jumped to 6 weeks. That's because of a contractor printing more than 2,000 IDs it shouldn't have. DMV Commissioner Wayne Goodwin will update lawmakers on the progress he says they've been making at 9 o'clock. So we'll be sure to have a crew there and keep you updated. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Shoppers at a Cumberland County Food Lion on edge this morning after a man was caught peeping at the store. Deputies charged Patrick Clark with putting his cell phone under a woman's skirt and then taking a photo. The sheriff's office first heard about this a week ago and then announced the arrest yesterday. Clark is now out of jail on bond. Investigators say this may not have been his first time committing this type of crime. Shoppers at the Food Lion in Stedman say it all makes them very uneasy.
I just hope my Food Lion stays safe and not to look out for this guy anymore.
Now everybody's has a negative connotation going to the grocery store, so which shouldn't happen, especially in such a sweet little town.
Clark is scheduled to appear in court again on June 20th. Deputies are still investigating this, encouraging anyone who may know of any other victims to reach out.
A 2-year-old boy is dead and his mother was hospitalized in critical condition because a tree fell through the roof of their home in Michigan. This happened in the city of Livonia, about 25 minutes from Detroit. The tree fell through a bedroom where the mother and her baby were located. Rescuers worked for more than an hour to remove the tree and the mother and child, but again, the 2-year-old died. There was a 2-week-old and their grandmother in a separate room, but they were not injured.
Well, today we should know who the new chancellor for North Carolina Central University will be. The UNC Board of Governors will meet in a special session this morning to elect the new chancellor. They're looking to replace Johnson Akinley, who is retiring at the end of the month. He was NCCU's chancellor for nearly 8 years and is credited with boosting enrollment and partnerships. That meeting gets started at 9:30 this morning.
The reproductive rights of women is something many voters say is a top concern in the upcoming election. Yesterday, the U.S. Senate blocked a bill that would guarantee access to contraception nationwide. The Right to Contraception Act would have made it a protective right for people to buy and use contraceptives. We're talking about birth control. We're talking about condoms. The measure is part of Democrats' efforts to codify these rights after the overturning of Roe v. Wade. North Carolina Senators Tom Tillis and Ted Budd voted against the bill.
Today is the 80th anniversary of the D-Day invasion during World War II. Veterans who fought in the war are back in Normandy, France for commemoration events. In the village of Sannerville, British Army paratroopers recreated a drop into the fields of Normandy. Nearby, a service to honor the fallen was held at the Pegasus Bridge. British and American veterans gave speeches, laid wreaths, and listened to their national anthems. This year's anniversary, likely the last major commemoration that D-Day veterans, who are now nearing 100 years old, will attend.
Jeff Hogan in the WRAL Live Center. Catherine, I want to jump in right here because I want to take you live to Normandy, France right now. This is a commemoration right now of those 11 U.S. World War II veterans that you were referring to. President Biden is at the podium right there. He is speaking to them right now. It is part of a speech that he is expected to include and compare the struggle of Europe to defeat the Nazis back in that time 80 years ago to the current battle that's going on in Ukraine, where President Vladimir Putin of Russia has stepped up his attacks. But as we take a live look here at what a large celebration this is at the Normandy landings site right there, President Biden plans to give another speech tomorrow and participate in a parade on Saturday. French President Emmanuel Macron presented all 11 U.S. World War II veterans with the Legion of Honor Award at this ceremony.
All right, Jeff. And North Carolina has some connections to D-Day, some strong connections, in fact. The beaches at our state's coast played a pivotal role in the invasion. A lot of the training was done there in 1941 and even beyond then. And a choir from one of our state's universities is there in France for the 80th anniversary ceremonies. 16 students from the Gardner-Webb Department of Music will perform, or are performing, to honor this historic day. Back here at home, day 2 of the big soccer tournament kicking off this morning in Cary. Today, the final stage group will play. Yesterday, all 48 teams played 2 matches. And for the first time, TST will host a women's tournament this year. It starts tomorrow with 8 teams, including 1 representing the North Carolina Courage. The playoffs go through the weekend with the $1 million championship game slated for Monday night. Boeing is reporting new issues with their spaceship after takeoff, when the astronauts are expected to reach the International Space Station coming up.
And we have the threat for some severe storms this afternoon and evening. Ahead of that, it is going to be hot and sticky with a high of 91. I'll show you why it will feel so much more comfortable behind the front coming up.
Good morning, Sanford. Hope you like windy conditions. That's what a lot of people are waking up to this morning as you're watching WRAL News. In fact, I shouldn't shout at you as we're showing you a live look at Sanford this morning. But Elizabeth Gardner has been tracking what risk of severe weather we have today, and you can see very clearly what's on the radar.
I've been tracking this cold front, and out ahead of the front, almost all of North Carolina is in a level 1 risk. We are seeing some showers and thunderstorms along the front right now. It will cross the mountains and then arrive here around the middle of the afternoon. We take a look at our severe weather threat. It has expanded, so new this morning, it does include the entire viewing area. Damaging winds would be our biggest threat, but we could also see some heavy rain out of the system as well. We'll jump on ahead and take a look at futurecasts. This morning, we're seeing a lot of cloud cover. We may see a few breaks in the clouds around lunchtime. If so, all that heating will help to destabilize the atmosphere and create a better environment for thunderstorms to develop. So around 2 or 3 o'clock, we start to see the showers and storms developing. By 5 o'clock or so, it starts to shift into our eastern counties and then out by around 7 or so. And then a little bit of a break. The front itself will come through starting at around 10 or 11, and there might be an isolated shower along the front, but our better chance for severe weather will come ahead of the front during the evening hours. So behind the front, we're going to see a much more pleasant air mass, big drop in our humidity and a little bit cooler too. And our best chance of rain today, we might see an isolated storm overnight Sunday night, but for the most part, we're going to move back into a drier pattern. How much rain with this system today? An average of 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch, but that doesn't mean that you won't see a cell that dumps a lot more rain on you, or that you kind of miss out on it and don't see much at all. That's sort of the nature of thunderstorms. Nice quiet weekend with some baseball at the DBAP. They're having a homestand this weekend. 84 at game time on Friday and 83 on Saturday. A little hotter on Sunday, but the dew points or the humidity on Friday and Saturday are going to feel much more comfortable. It may not fall as low as it did last weekend, but still a little bit of a break because today really hot and sticky with that high of 91. Check out these morning lows, 62 Saturday morning and 65 on Sunday morning, but it is going to be hot in the afternoon with that high of 92. Now behind Sunday's front, we're a little drier and pleasant with temperatures in the mid-80s and some more nice mornings too, 63 for Tuesday morning. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more about how much our humidity will drop on Friday and Saturday. Ken?
We continue to monitor a crash that happened in the westbound lanes of I-40. We're talking near Hammond Road. You can see it right there. About a half hour ago, a lot of bumper-to-bumper traffic in that area, but right now it's beginning to clear. So chances are that crash is probably in the clearing phase, and you wouldn't have too much to worry about. A couple of crashes in the downtown area we've been working this morning, not causing any problems. One on Boylan Avenue in the eastbound lane, and that one on South Person Street near Morgan Street as well. Many of you work in the downtown area, probably getting to work at about 9 o'clock this morning. You should not have any problems getting to work. Just maybe some people stopping to see exactly what's going on, and that might be what's delaying you. But other than that, it's fine. We're monitoring this crash, and this one here in 885 in the southbound lane, not causing any problems. We see the traffic is moving along rather smoothly there on the 885 there in Durham. Elsewhere in the Triangle, it's great to see 87 coming in from Zebulon, all cleared up now. But, you know, the usual backups we see in the north side of the Beltline and the south side of the Beltline as well. So keep that in mind if you're getting ready to head out.
Former President Donald Trump's election interference case in Georgia is hitting a snag. A Georgia appeals court has halted the case while it reviews the lower court's ruling, allowing Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis to stay on the case. The order issued Wednesday prevents the judge from moving forward with pretrial motions while the appeal is pending. A grand jury indicted Trump and 18 others of participating in a scheme to overturn the 2020 presidential election in Georgia.
Later this month, Boeing's outgoing CEO is set to testify before Congress. The hearing comes after a whistleblower testified about quality control issues on Boeing's 787 Dreamliner and 777 production lines. The whistleblower says Boeing retaliated against him after he reported problems. And he said Boeing knowingly took shortcuts, skipping critical safety steps to reduce production delays. Boeing denies the accusations and says that it's actually under scrutiny for its handling of 2 fatal crashes and a door plug flying off a jet earlier this year. And this afternoon, 2 astronauts aboard Boeing's Starliner are expected to dock at the International Space Station. The crew spacecraft successfully launched from Cape Canaveral yesterday morning after about 2 previously failed attempts. After the launch, NASA and Boeing discovered another helium leak. But NASA determined the 2 astronauts aboard could safely go to sleep while the organization looked for the leak source.
All this comes as Boeing's competitor SpaceX is set to launch its mega rocket Starship from Texas this morning. It's the 4th unscrewed test for NASA's mission to return people to the moon. That's expected to happen this morning. The FAA says SpaceX proposed 3 scenarios involving Starship's entry into the atmosphere that would not require an investigation if the vehicle is lost. During this test, SpaceX is focused on returning and reusing Starship and its rocket booster.
Look at your screen. The owner of this 16-year-old dog named Jasmine is making a desperate plea for his dog to be returned to her home. The owner says Jasmine slipped away from a room at Days Inn Hotel along Glenwood Avenue. The owner of the dog says that he was unloading clothes from his car when she got out. Now, since then, he continues to return to the hotel in hopes of finding Jasmine. Hotel staff later shared surveillance video of what appears to be a woman picking up the dog after she got away.
We seen this lady stop right down the road here in front of the Wendy's and picked her up. I don't have no hard feelings towards this lady. I just want to get the dog back.
Just wants to get her back. Flyers on the property describe Jasmine as very shy and hard of hearing. The owner wants to use this experience as a reminder to have pets microchipped to help bring them home.
A lawyer for the family of Micah Miller says a bill that's been buried in the South Carolina legislature could have saved her life. Attorney Regina Ward is urging South Carolina lawmakers to pass a coercive control bill. Miller was in the middle of divorce proceedings from her estranged husband, John Paul, when she died by suicide on April 27th. Coercive control refers to a pattern of behavior used to intimidate another person, including threats and emotional abuse. The attorney says the bill has been sitting in the state's legislature Judiciary Committee since 2020. Micah's sister said she experienced abuse and violence from John Paul, although he has not been charged with any crime related to Micah's death.
A school resource officer and weapons detector stopped someone from entering an award ceremony in Edgecombe County with a gun. Alexis Ellis is charged with having the weapon on school property at Wimberley Elementary School. She was released on bond. No one was hurt, and there was never a threat to students or teachers.
We are getting a look at the construction along Interstate 440 and Blue Ridge Road. The State Department of Transportation posted these photos on social media. It's all part of the I-440 widening project. Crews are lowering the grade of Blue Ridge Road and building new bridges for Hillsborough Street, Norfolk Southern Roadway, and Barrel Road. This all expected to help with traffic and better protect pedestrians. In Durham, a crowd gathered at the county courthouse to celebrate Juneteenth. Juneteenth recognizes the day the final enslaved Black Americans in our country were finally told slavery was over. This event marks the 4th year since Durham County Commissioners made Juneteenth a county holiday. Reenactors brought the Buffalo Soldiers' role in that history to life. Durham County Commissioner Nemeshina Burns says more work still needs to be done.
As we raise the Juneteenth flag this year, let it not flutter as a symbol of past freedom's wand, but let it wave as a call to action. This is not just about barbecues and parades. This Juneteenth, I urge you to engage more deeply in our community.
Community members and visitors can view the official Juneteenth flag flying from June 5th to the 19th at the Durham County Courthouse.
We are a little more than a month away from the Olympics, and some swimmers are hoping to make the cut when they visit Indianapolis. Take a look at where they're going to be competing for a spot in Paris. This will be the pool used for swim trials ahead of the 2024 Olympic Games. It's actually inside Lucas Oil Stadium where the Indianapolis Colts play. The trials get underway next Saturday, June 15th. And do not forget, WRAL is your home for all things Olympics. WRAL's Liz McLaughlin will bring you live coverage from Paris this July.
Well, 3 people were shot in a hookah lounge in Fayetteville this morning. The latest on what we're learning as police investigate.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good Thursday morning to you. The time is 8:26. I'm Chris Lovingood. We'll get to some of your top stories in a bit, but first, let's check in on weather.
We have a front that's headed our way, getting ready to cross the mountains. It will bring some thunderstorms to our area this afternoon. We do have a level 1 risk for severe storms now for the entire area. That's an update this morning to include the entire viewing area. Damaging winds and heavy rain would be our biggest threats. We expect those thunderstorms to begin mid-afternoon and increase in intensity closer to the evening commute and then tapering off before midnight. We'll check out our temperatures heading out the door this morning. It is warm and sticky. 73 in Durham and Raleigh, 74 in Fayetteville. Lots of clouds right now. We'll see a humid afternoon with a high of 91. Ken?
All right, and happening now in the WO Traffic Center. If you're getting ready to head out this morning and the Beltline is part of your morning commute, just be mindful that you'll be running into some brake tapping going on the north side of the Beltline as well as the south side of the Beltline. The crashes that you see here on our map really are in the downtown area, not causing any major problems to report as well. We're seeing some bumper-to-bumper traffic also on the Durham Freeway and 885 in both directions in Durham as well.
Again, thank you. 3 people were shot overnight at a hookah lounge on Ramsey Street. Fayetteville police say that the shots fired call came in around 2:30 this morning, but fortunately, none of the injuries are life-threatening. They are expected to be okay. We're working to learn more about any suspects in this shooting. And this morning, we will get answers for some of the most bothersome aspects of going to the DMV. Talk about that wait time. Commissioner Goodwin will speak to lawmakers this morning about long wait times and delays for people trying to get IDs. 50,000 people are affected by backups and state IDs every week, according to the DMV. Next on Fox 50, funeral plans for the Garner family killed in a Memorial Day crash with a drunken driver suspected to be in the hospital right now. We'll get you more details in just a bit.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number 1 source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
A funeral will be held today for the Garner family that was killed in a car crash. How they're being remembered as we're getting our first look at the man accused of causing that crash.
And a severe weather threat. It's expanded to include the entire viewing area. That's new this morning. We'll have the potential for wind damage. I'll show you when.
And 3 people shot at a local hookah lounge early this morning. We have an update from the scene as police continue their investigation.
Today, problems at the DMV will be addressed by lawmakers. Why there have been such big delays in people getting a physical ID.
People talking about that, even the possibility of a digital ID. We'll see if that comes up today. Thanks for joining us this morning on WRAL News and Fox 50. I'm Chris Lovingood.
And I'm Catherine Brown. We're in for a windy and kind of a messy day, Elizabeth.
We are. We have this cold front that's about to move across the mountains. That arrives here later on this evening. That'll bring us a potential for some severe storms. New this morning, our level 1 risk now includes the entire viewing area. Damaging winds would be our biggest threat, but rain is likely to be heavy at times at these cells. There's just so much moisture in the atmosphere that we could have some pretty big downpours. Partly cloudy skies around lunchtime, but it's been fairly cloudy for us to start the day. Once we get to 2 or 3 in the afternoon, we start to see those isolated storms popping up. There's 3 o'clock, there's 5 o'clock with that band of rain right through the middle of the viewing area and then moving out by, say, 7 o'clock or so. Along the front itself, which won't come through until around 10 or 11, there might be another isolated shower, but the bulk of what we'll see today will come mid-afternoon through, say, early evening. Right now, we take a live look at Roxborough. Cloudy skies. It is warm and sticky, 73 with a dew point of 68 and a little breezy, too. We have a southwest wind at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. A hot afternoon with a high of 91, but I'll show you how much our humidity will fall behind this front. Coming up, Ken.
Well, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center, we've got reports of a crash on I-40 westbound near Lake Wheeler Road. You can see it right here, just before Lake Wheeler Road, actually. Right now, in the immediate crash site, we're not seeing any bumper-to-bumper traffic, but you can see the heavy delays that's picked up right there on I-40 westbound to that end. I want to give you a live look at that situation right now. I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road, you cannot see the crash on this camera, but you can see the westbound lanes, the bumper-to-bumper traffic that it's causing there this morning at this hour. So keep that in mind if you're about to head out. Many of the crashes that you see right now on our maps really are in the downtown area, not causing any major problems. Many of you work in the downtown area, but you will not have any problems getting to work this morning. Those crashes are not impacting your morning commute as well. But things are, believe it or not, beginning to thin out this morning, and we can expect that this time of the morning, which is good news. We can see some brake tapping going on as well as on I-885 in Durham in both directions. So keep that in mind. Give yourself some extra time as you're about to head out.
Ken, thank you. We are following breaking news out of Fayetteville this morning. Law enforcement investigating a shooting on Ramsey Street. That's where Nick Perlin was in the WRAL News Tracker.
3 people are hurt after a shooting at this hookah lounge in Fayetteville early this morning. Now take a look at this video from the WRAL breaking news tracker, and you can see Fayetteville police taping off this hookah lounge. We're told the shooting happened at around 2:30 this morning. 3 people were shot and taken to the hospital. We're told they are expected to be okay. We're still trying to find out what exactly led to this shooting, and we're trying to find out if Fayetteville police know who fired their gun early this morning. Once we have more information, we'll be sure to update you. In Fayetteville, Nick Perlin, WRAL News.
New this morning, 2 men wanted for questioning in connection to a homicide after a man was found shot to death at a local car wash. This happened on Deaver Circle in Hope Mills. Authorities say the man who was killed was 21-year-old Lamarvian McKinnon. The men wanted for questioning are 23-year-old Alan Tedder and 24-year-old Kimante Johnson. If you have any information about their whereabouts, you're asked to call the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office. Today, a funeral will take place for a family killed in a crash in Garner. Services for the Campbell family are happening this morning at a church in Ellenboro, that's just west of Charlotte. Tyler and Susan Campbell and their 8-year-old son Miles died in a crash on Memorial Day. Memorial services for the family will continue this weekend. A service is planned in Garner at a building Summit Church uses on Vandora Springs Road. That is set for Saturday at 3 p.m. Meantime, the driver, Jordan Porter, is facing second-degree murder charges. This is the first picture we're seeing of him. A family member provided it to WRAL. Porter has not yet been served, so we don't have a mugshot of him. Warrants say he was drinking alcohol and smoking marijuana before the crash.
Today, we expect to get an update on issues at the DMV that's causing major delays in people getting a physical ID. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey has been at the DMV office on Avon Ferry Road all morning with what we can expect as the DMV commissioner answers to lawmakers.
You're not the only one. 50,000 people are impacted by backups with state IDs every week, according to the DMV. Now, I read through the testimony that the DMV commissioner is expected to give in the next 30 minutes, and here's a look at some of the highlights of what he's going to talk about this morning. Long lines, wait times for IDs, and updating technology for customers and staff. Today's hearing comes a few months after lawmakers grilled the commissioner and his staff about these problems. Wait times for IDs was at the top of that list. The DMV says their normal turnaround time for giving out IDs is 15 days. Now it's jumped to 6 weeks. That's because a contractor printed more than 2,000 IDs it shouldn't have. DMV Commissioner Wayne Goodwin will update lawmakers on the progress he says they've been making this morning at 9 o'clock. So we'll be sure to have a crew there and keep you updated. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
One man is dead and another hurt after a shooting in Goldsboro. Investigators say they responded to a shots fired call on South John Street. This was last night. They found 18-year-old Tyshair Davis shot, and at last check, he was at ECU Health in fair condition. But police later found 21-year-old Forteriage Sanders shot to death inside a car on Hollowell Street. Police say the two knew each other and had some sort of argument before that shooting.
This morning, Roy Cooper will present at the Governor's Crime Commission's quarterly meeting. The Crime Commission is designed to advise the Governor and State Secretary of Public Safety on crime and justice issues. The meeting will focus on domestic violence and sexual assault issues, as well as provide an update on juvenile delinquency prevention. This morning's meeting is open to the public, both in person and online, and it starts in just a few minutes at 9 a.m. WRAL's documentary unit has uncovered another consequence of the law. Gangs are now using it to recruit younger members, telling kids they won't get in trouble for committing crimes. It's the subject of WRAL's newest documentary, Easy Targets, Gangs Getting Younger in North Carolina. You can watch this documentary tonight on WRAL or on WRALdoc.com.
I want you to look at your screen here. At least one person is seriously injured after a tornado touched down in Maryland. This happened in Gaithersburg, about 30 minutes outside D.C. Officials say 3 homes sustained significant damage as people were stuck inside each home. The home that suffered the most damage had about 5 people inside. All were taken to the hospital, and one person did suffer traumatic injuries.
The reproductive rights of women is something many voters say is a top concern in the upcoming election. And yesterday, the U.S. Senate blocked a bill guaranteeing access to contraception nationwide. The Right to Contraception Act would have made it a protected right for people to buy and use contraceptives, things like birth control pills and condoms. The measure is part of Democrats' push to codify these rights into law after overturning Roe v. Wade. North Carolina Senators Tom Tillis and Ted Budd both voted against the bill.
The Israeli military says that Hamas militants were operating from within a school when an airstrike happened there. It comes after Israel announced new operations in central Gaza. The attack comes as American, Egyptian, and Qatari officials are meeting for ceasefire negotiations after this happened.
Today, Gordon Cleveland, an employee at a gun store, will be back on the stand in Hunter Biden's trial on federal gun charges. Hunter Biden's ex-wife and ex-girlfriend both testified about his drug use yesterday. The prosecution is trying to prove that Hunter knowingly lied when filling out a background check when he bought a gun back in 2018. Hunter's ex-wife, Kathleen Buell, told the jury how she never saw him doing drugs, but often found drug paraphernalia in his car. Zoe Keston, an ex-girlfriend, said Hunter was still an active drug user around the time he filled out that background check.
We're just days out from a channel in the Port of Baltimore to fully reopen. The bridge collapse blocked that waterway, but the final piece blocking the passageway has been removed. The full channel is expected to reopen this coming Monday. 6 construction workers on the bridge during the collapse died. An investigation is underway into the collapse, including the cargo ship that caused it.
Well, some encouraging news this morning when it comes to children's well-being after the pandemic. State education officials released survey results that show teenagers are doing better health-wise than they were just a few years ago. There's still room for improvement. Teens are doing worse than they were 10 years ago. 4 in 10 students say they feel so sad or hopeless they stop doing normal activities.
Moving in the right direction is still not where we need to be. If 30% of our students are feeling lonely, that's a problem. So I want you to be excited about the changes, but also realistic. We've got a lot of work to do to keep our students mentally well.
Most students are still not exercising every day, and even fewer are eating breakfast every day. State officials want schools to do more to help children be physically active. You can read more about this issue in the education section of WRAL.com.
Today, the merch tent at the U.S. Open is ready for business. The tent, it is massive. It's got hats, it has shirts, and even cookware, all branded for the 124th U.S. Open. It's open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And here's the thing. Anyone looking to get USGA gear can drop by, not just people with tickets to the Open. The U.S. Open is being played at Pinehurst Golf Course number 2 starting 1 week from today.
Very exciting. And day 2 of the soccer tournament, big soccer tournament in Cary, kicking off this morning. Today, the final stage group will play. Yesterday, all 48 teams played 2 matches. And for the first time, TST will host a women's tournament this year. It starts tomorrow with 8 teams, including one representing the North Carolina Courage. The playoffs go through the weekend with the $1 million championship games slated for Monday night.
Keeping children fed is getting more and more difficult for some parents. After the break, WRAL investigative data journalist Ali Ingersoll shares why parents are feeling financial strain at the grocery store.
And check this out, a bear caught on camera walking into a man's kitchen. We'll show you more of this video and show you how the man tried to get the bear out.
And we do want to leave you here with a live look at South Hill before we go to the break. This is South Hill, Virginia on a very gloomy Thursday morning. If you think it looks bad there, it's looking kind of the same here locally. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will share when we can expect the rain to come down. A live look outside at Carolina Beach. I won't lie, I'm a little surprised people are out there today just because what's coming our way is headed that way right now. What is headed our way? Elizabeth Gardner knows.
This front right here, that cold front is inching toward the mountains right now. We already do have some showers and thunderstorms down here along the coast. So it is sort of surprising. I mean, they're seeing some rain and storms right there. Interesting that people are sitting out on the beach. New this morning, our level 1 risk for our area expanded to include the southern part of the viewing area as well. Damaging winds are our biggest threat, but rain is likely to be heavy with these cells. Even if you don't have severe level winds, the rain's really going to be coming down pretty hard with this. At 2 o'clock, the rain is back to the west. This is a brand new run of the computer model. It's a touch slower, maybe by an hour. So we start to see the showers and thunderstorms between 4 and 5 o'clock moving into our central and western counties. And then between 6 and 7, it moves right on out of here. So it'll move through pretty quickly, but it is going to be coming down pretty heavily. We have our cold front that slides through this evening. And at that point, most of the rain is over with. Let's take a look from our tall tower camera. Right here is the Mix 101.5 tower. And you can see it just above the clouds here. We're looking at about 1,800 feet up in the air. There's some blue sky up there, but a good deck of low clouds has developed this morning across the region, and we're going to be dealing with that for a while with a few breaks here and there. 74 right now with winds south at 10 miles per hour. We do climb up to around 90 for a high this afternoon. We have some gusts out there now. We're gusting to 21 in Goldsboro. That southwest wind from 5 to 15 miles per hour across our region. So a little bit on the breezy side even before that front gets here. Beautiful coneflowers here from Dana Bergman. Thanks for sending those. So pretty. I love coneflowers. One of my favorite flowers in the garden. Go to WRAL.com, search Weather Watchers. We'd love to see what's happening in your garden or your backyard or wherever you are. 91 in Raleigh, 90 in Durham, 92 in Fayetteville. It's going to be a very hot, steamy, sticky kind of day. Our dew point is at 68, which puts us in the steamy category. Now, once the front comes through, we're going to see our winds shifting. That's going to drop our humidity down. We're going to be in the comfy zone for Saturday, but by Sunday, it's going to bounce back up. And then as we get into Monday and Tuesday, we should also see it dropping a little bit. Here's why we're going to see it up and down. The green shaded area is where it's very humid. The cold front comes through. It will shift our wind to northwesterly. That brings the drier, cooler air. We'll feel that Friday and Saturday, but the next front arrives bringing some moisture back in. So a little more humid on Sunday and hotter as well. But behind that front, we get a little break again. So a couple of fronts coming through are going to bring us some ups and downs. 91 today, comfortable Saturday and Sunday, back to 92 on Sunday, and then comfortable on Monday and Tuesday.
Elizabeth, thank you. The FDA has agreed to update the COVID-19 vaccine. Advisors made the decision Wednesday to ask manufacturers to update the formula to address the latest JN1 variant. The Infectious Disease Society of America says JN1 is one of the most common versions of the virus circulating right now. The new vaccine will also help fight the KP2 and KP3 strains. The FDA hopes to have the new vaccine available by this fall.
As Donald Trump searches for a running mate, some VP contenders are receiving vetting materials. That's according to sources closest to this. Some big names, including Senator Marco Rubio, Senator Tim Scott, and former Housing and Urban Development Secretary Ben Carson, are among the others. Many of these candidates have spent recent weeks making public demonstrations of their loyalty and defending him on television. Trump said he may even announce his running mate at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. That's next month.
Heading out to RDU, where you can see all those clouds Elizabeth was talking about, but not going to overshadow a big day there. This afternoon, Lufthansa Airlines will have its first arrival and departure from Raleigh. Today's incoming flight comes from Frankfurt, Germany. Lufthansa is one of the world's largest air companies when it's including subsidiaries like Austrian, Swiss, and Brussels Airlines.
Many North Carolinians say they are struggling to afford enough food for their children. However, the Consumer Price Index shows that grocery prices aren't up that much. WRAL investigative data journalist Ali Ingersoll is looking into what's leading parents to feel this way.
While you might feel some relief at the register, you aren't alone if you're still struggling to get groceries.
I have seen it increase, definitely.
Wake Forest mom Stacia Gluth says she's still buying most of the same things for her family. She knows other people who have made changes, though. About half of parents in the state report not being able to afford enough food or variety for their kids, according to a recent census survey. That's up from about a third of parents in 2022. But the Consumer Price Index reports that grocery prices are up less than 1% year over year. Economist Dr. Michael Walden says prices are going up in other places like rent or mortgage payments. And that's combined with people having 5% less purchasing power.
Most people have seen their wages go up, their earnings go up over time, but they're not enough to compensate for the higher prices.
Meaning it's trickling down to other places where we spend money.
People are now having to realize, and they always do, but I think even more so, they have to make choices. We're seeing that in the marketplace.
Just try not to eat out as much. I kind of realized pretty quickly that that's unsustainable, so just trying to make some more meals at home.
Walden says it will turn around, but it'll likely be at least a year. In Raleigh, Allie Ingersoll, WRAL News.
And Jeff Hogan in the WRAL Live Center take you right to the launch pad in Texas. We've been talking about this SpaceX liftoff here. It's counting down 3, 2, 1. We don't normally hit this so well on live TV, but it's cooperating today. This is pretty cool stuff. This is the SpaceX mega rocket Starship flight test out of Texas this morning. That's 10 million pounds of propellant going up right there. They are going to try to retrieve data. They're not trying to get any hardware back on this. The ship, the main goal of this entire mission is to get this ship through the heat test of re-entry. So they're going to go up into space. This is all the fourth uncrewed test for NASA's mission. There's nobody on board. They do want to return people to the moon, and this is going to be one of those key tests that they go through here. So the rocket propeller will be splash landing in the Gulf of Mexico, and then they'll be picking up the ship itself in the Indian Ocean after they're done with this test.
You had that, you had Boeing, a lot of things happening in space flight. Thanks, Jeff. All right, move over, Barbie. The newest doll-themed movie is about to hit theaters. Here's David Daniel with the Hollywood Minute.
School! This is so cool, Frankie. Who can tell me what the greatest threat to monster kind is? Humans.
Monster High is headed to theaters. The toy line about the children of famous monsters, which inspired animated and live-action small-screen films, will be reinvented for the big screen. Oscar winner Akiva Goldsman will produce the film. Mattel had a fairly big hit last year with a toy-turned-movie, Barbie.
There's only two ways out of the killer's game, Joseph. You walk away clean, or you go out on your back.
I need a contract executed.
Who do you want retired?
Me.
Dave Bautista is an assassin looking to be assassinated until he's not in the first trailer for The Killer's Game. Sofia Boutella, Terry Crews, Pom Klementieff, and Sir Ben Kingsley co-star in the action thriller. The game begins in theaters on September 13th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Venom Week is underway at the Durham Convention Center. Reptile and medical experts from across the world are hosting a variety of panel discussions about all things venomous. Members of the public are invited to attend to learn more about what could be lurking in the world around them.
People come from all over the world to talk about the cutting edge of envenomation medicine, snake bite treatment, spider bite treatment, scorpion sting treatment.
All the venomous things. Experts say an antivenom is the best way to treat a bite, but what should you do before you're able to make it to the hospital for treatment? Today, WRAL health reporter Grace Haba will share advice from local doctors and looks at just how many patients have already made trips to Triangle area ERs for snake bites this year.
Good information to know. All right, take a look at this. A bear caught on video sneaking into a kitchen, getting a lot of attention online. The bear walked right in through an open door, right into the kitchen. This is in California. The man sprayed the bear with water, only to find, it had a friend with it in the backyard. The two of them climbed a fence and they shot on over to the neighbor's yard.